Hello and welcome to the latest installment of HFW Industry Insights, where we speak to leading figures across HFW's core sectors about the key issues facing their business and the wider market. Our guest today is Paul Griffiths, who became the inaugural CEO of Dubai Airports in 2007. Under Paul's stewardship, Dubai International Airport has become the world's busiest airport with over 92 million visitors in 2024. Paul, welcome. Paul, you've been the CEO of Dubai Airports for 18 years in October. You've seen a period of enormous expansion for Dubai International Airport. What's been the secret of that extraordinary success?
I think, first of all, having just one KPI. On my first day, I walked into the office of my chairman, His Highness Sheikh Ahmed bin Said Al Maktoum, and said, "Your Highness, I've arrived. What would you like me to do?" He said, "Very simple, Paul, just one KPI. Do not constrain the growth of aviation." And I took that very seriously. And with just one KPI, it's very easy to tell whether you've succeeded or failed. And over the last 18 years, we've undergone a huge transformation from where we were. We now operate with 50% of the employees we had in 2007. We have tripled traffic. We have succeeded in delivering record profits and EBIT to our shareholder, the Department of Finance. We've managed to increase customer service. And most importantly, we've made huge strides in employee advocacy. 97% of our employees are satisfied as an employee of Dubai Airports. And I think socially, we've managed to take enough graduate recruits consistently over the years to bring our Emirati local employee percentage at management level up to 78%. So on all counts, we've not really rested at all to make sure that we've earned the title for the past 11 years of the world's busiest international airport, and more importantly, the best airport in the world.
And because of that success and because of that extraordinary growth, the airport is constrained in terms of its future growth. The Dubai government last year published very ambitious plans for a new airport at DWC. Can you tell us a bit more about that project, and in particular, when the new airport is likely to come on screen and what we can expect in terms of the customer experience?
First of all, DXB's footprint is actually quite constrained. We've got two non-independent runways, which are quite close together. Although they're staggered for increases in capacity, there is an ultimate limit on the amount of aircraft movements we can achieve on those two runways. We've also built out the maximum amount of terminal capacity in aircraft stands that we can accommodate here at DXB. Most of the growth, however, over the last 10 years has been through technological and process improvements, which actually have greatly increased throughput. We've grown by 20% in the last 10 years without actually delivering any major infrastructure. However, there are limits. We are going to achieve by the end of 2025 something like 95.3 million passengers, and then the magic 100 million by the end of 2026. By 2031, we are likely to be over 120 million passengers. And quite honestly, that will be the absolute limit of what we can really achieve on the current site. So by 2032, as you say, the government have announced a $35 billion project to build a new DWC Phase 2 complex of terminals and concourses, with an initial capacity of 150 million, to be able to ensure that that original KPI of not constraining growth of aviation in Dubai can be upheld. Those plans will be executed in a logical, modular order. We'll start with the terminal building and the first concourse complex, and then there'll be up to 6 concourse complexes added to the plan as we expand towards the ultimate capacity of the new airport, which we believe is something like 260 million, more than double any other airport's size on the planet.
You've had to work through some very significant global events in recent years. What would you say has been the biggest challenge you've faced as CEO of Dubai Airports?
I think one of the largest challenges was in March 2020, when literally we closed the airport for a period of nearly 4 months. In May 2020, we had the same number of passengers through the airport in the whole month that we'd had in May 2019 in just 4 hours. So the scale of the change was absolutely dramatic. Of course, there was no rule book, no instructions, and relying on global coordination was clearly not something that we could actually use to plan our business. So we renegotiated with all of our suppliers, strategic changes in a lot of our contracts. We actually reduced our total workforce by 1,000. We entered into some very innovative contracts with third parties to have service-based delivery contracts for baggage, for passenger service. We reconstructed basically the entire airport operation. And we were pioneering ways of recovering from the pandemic so that we could get back to business as soon as possible. And we were, I think, one of the first countries to achieve full vaccination of the population. And we were one of the first airports to reopen and very quickly regain the total passenger throughputs that we had pre-pandemic. In fact, since the pandemic started in 2020, we've greatly exceeded record passenger numbers year on year, and we are way ahead of our original projections that predated the pandemic. So that was one of the most serious challenges. There have been many others, but I think the team now are so used to dealing with change as a constant that there's hardly anything that you can throw at us that we don't have the ability to recover from and proactively improve our processes as a result.
When you opened HFW's conference earlier this year, you spoke about bringing back the romance to air travel. How do you think a modern busy airport can contribute to that?
I think the secret is in smart airport design. I think the thing is that before now, what happened is airport design was all about buildings and space. You built an airport, you put the systems necessary to operate it, and the passenger operation and the proposition was the result of merging those two things. We've moved on a bit from that now. And what we're doing now is designing processes and systems alongside infrastructure to make sure that there is a mix and match between them. But in the future, that has to change because the actual fundamentals of an airport are to provide a smooth and efficient interface between a surface-based means of transport and aviation. And a lot of airports really haven't quite got that right. So I think the secret will be close integration between technology, modern processes and systems to shake off the legacy of what we do at airports currently and to design systems, technology, and the architecture at the same time. There are two parts of an airport's operation. There's the flow part and the dwell part. The flow part is all of the processes such as check-in, security, immigration. All of those need to fundamentally disappear into the background so we can offer a frictionless, non-stop service to every customer that comes through. Walking distances need to be minimized, and a smart logistical distribution system should take customers as close to the aeroplane as they can get through a mechanized mean. And then that's when the mood changes to dwell. That's where we need the most comfortable lounges, the best retail, the highest quality restaurants, and spaces where people can relax before they have to board their aeroplane. And the walking distances should not be more than 300 to 500 meters at the absolute maximum. So those are the challenges for airport design. And an airport for the 21st century has to be designed in a fundamentally different way. There's absolutely no reason why we need to converge everyone through single pinch points as you do at airports at the moment. It should be an intimate experience where people can choose exactly how they plan their journey through the airport. It should be intimate, it should be personalized, and it should be, most of all, efficient and relaxing.
Dubai is a unique hub with a very international passenger mix. How does seasonality affect airport operations here? And is it different from other global airports experienced in peak periods?
Very fortunately, because of our geographic location, we're not greatly affected in terms of total traffic volume by seasonality. And I think that's because one third of the world's population is within 4 hours flying time of DXB, and two-thirds is within 8 hours flying time. What we do see, however, is a change in the distribution of traffic between transfer traffic and point to point. And what happens in the summer months, when perhaps the weather here is a little less attractive than it is in the winter, is we get more people arriving at DXB, transferring to other flights, and then carrying on. And because the hub is so large and so diverse, with over 250 different destinations served directly from here on more than 90 airlines in 104 countries, there are traffic ebbs and flows across the world which sort of equalize themselves out when they cross at DXB. Now, clearly in the winter, we get so much more point-to-point traffic into the city of Dubai compared to the summer. It shifts to about 60% and 40% transfer. That reverses in the summer. But overall, we really maintain very, very high occupancy rates, and the aircraft schedules are pretty constant year-round.
What are your guiding principles as a leader, and what advice do you have for other leaders seeking to develop a culture of high performance within their organizations?
I think the first thing is employ the best people. And one of my principles is actually very simple. I'm not scared of being the thickest person in the room. I think what you've got to do is hire the best people, empower them to do their job, and make sure they are supported and they have the tools to do it. And I think trust is such an important part of being a collaborative leader and being a part of the team. Everyone here is passionate about aviation in Dubai, and we all understand what the aviation sector goals are. And we are really, really close knit, and our culture, I think, speaks volumes. And I think our graduate training program has helped us recruit people who really espouse the spirit of aviation. We give them the opportunity to experience different departments throughout the organization, find out what they're really good at, and then allow them to stream themselves through a discipline that they're particularly good at developing skills. Then we promote them, and that's why today we've got 78% of local employees in management positions, a statistic that I think will be a very long-lasting legacy for the organization.
Paul, some personal questions. Who inspires you and why?
I've been very fortunate in my earlier career to work very, very closely with Sir Richard Branson. During the years when aviation was actually a chore, you had national flag carriers that were lazy, were not efficient. The actual experience of travel was quite dull and quite a chore. He really said, it doesn't have to be like that. Let's think of this differently. And his approach to customer service was to charge the same price, but to provide so much more in terms of product and service. And it was a big hit. I joined him when the airline only had one aircraft. And by the time I moved on to pastures new in the early 2000s, we had over 30 large wide-bodied aircraft. And the company had been very, very successful. And we worked very closely. We used to go on holiday together, and I used to sit with him and talk about all sorts of ideas. And he was someone who really was not afraid of failure. Let's just try it. And if it works, fine. If it doesn't, we'll divert our energies into something new. I think that's really inspired the confidence to say not everything has to be a guaranteed success at the outset. If you don't try and you're not bold enough to try, you don't actually achieve anything. And that actually has been incredibly helpful to me.
And if you could pick just one highlight from your long career in aviation, what would that be?
I think the satisfaction of concluding an arrangement, I think, with Singapore Airlines to purchase 50% of Virgin Atlantic in 2000. I think at a valuation of about £1.3 million. That was a particular highlight, which I celebrated by going straight up the road from the Four Seasons Hotel in Park Lane to Westminster Abbey and giving a concert in front of 2,500 people the very same day we did the deal. It was a very good way to celebrate.
Paul, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.